Look, I know I said last week that I would fix my setup, but I still have not done that. So everything is just gonna be a little bit scuffed. If it looks like it's 6 a.m. outside, that's because it actually is. I actually have no reason to have written that script overnight. I just felt like it. For some reason, it's like 5 pages. And it really feels like there's even more lore than there was last week, so let me do my intro. Hello, my name is V, and this is the 3rd installation of Keeping Up with the Dream SMP. Totally not a ripoff of the hit reality TV show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That's very different, and mine is actually much better. I actually do have a lot of fun making these videos, so make sure to like and subscribe, and if you're here from TikTok, I see you. You have a special place in my heart. So let's start with last Saturday. Technoblade's stream, which is ominously titled First Meeting, might not make sense if you're not a regular live stream viewer. So basically, L'Manberg was the biggest government on the server until Technoblade pulled out his arsenal of withers. Since then, he decided to create an organization of anarchists that fight the sources of tyranny at their source so that they don't reach the extent of L'Manberg. And that's pretty much the idea behind the Syndicate. Their motto is Sic Semper Tyrannis, which means thus always to tyrants in Latin. Now, for the very small minority of you that aren't language experts, this basically means that tyrants are always doomed to fail, like a ticking time bomb. And it was supposedly said at the assassination of Julius Caesar. Like, it probably wasn't. That's way too cool of a thing to say while you're assassinating someone, but... And you know what? I really didn't expect Greek mythology to be brought up in the context of a block game, but Technoblade makes it work. And so he and Filza were the ones that started the Syndicate, but you would be wrong to think of them as the leaders. The Syndicate has no leaders, or really any rules at all, except that they must maintain secrecy. First rule of Fight Club and all. And so during this stream, Techno and Phil recruit 2 new members into the Syndicate, Ranboo and Nikki. There we go. That's purple. Oh my gosh. They go down to the Stronghold, which is where they conduct their meetings, and assign the new members to code names. Welcome to the Greek mythology segment, where I explain the significance of Greek lore in the context of Dream SMP lore. Techno's code name is Protesilaus. Say it with me. Protesilaus, who is a character from the Iliad. Now, Protesilaus is a Greek hero from the Trojan War. An oracle prophesies that the first person to step off of the Greek fleet would die first. And so, knowing this, he was the first to leap onto the beaches of the Troad. True to the prophecy, he was killed, but not before taking down 4 men with him. So, what could this mean in terms of who Techno is? We know that he's very dedicated to his cause of anarchy, willing to die for it even. But Technoblade never dies. He has not lost a single canon life during his time on the SMP. But maybe this is foreshadowing a future conflict where he does. Tell me how you think Techno could die in the comments. I'm very interested to know. Phil's codename is Zephyrus. Zephyrus is the Greek god of the west wind. He is depicted as having large white wings, which is similar to Canon Phil's gray wings, which were damaged during the L'Manberg era. Now, Ranboo's name is Lethe, the Greek goddess of oblivion and forgetfulness, for obvious reasons. Now, Nikki doesn't have a name yet, but there is an unknown member. Their codename is Harpocrates. Harpocrates is the god of silence and secrets. And actually, the rose is a common symbol used to represent Harpocrates. I wonder who this could be. Okay, back to the stream. At the Syndicate's first meeting, they discussed 2 potential sources of tyranny: the egg and Snowchester. They agree that the egg is getting to be a bit of a problem, and the fact that Bad is the all-powerful ruler of the Eggpire is an even bigger problem. To get more information, Techno resolves to go talk to people that aren't directly influenced by the egg, but then they talk about Snowchester, and Ranboo immediately gets very defensive. You see, Snowchester is run by Tubbo, who Ranboo is married to, and he's scared that Techno will employ his withers on Snowchester if he deems it to be a nation. So they decide to go scout out Snowchester first, and Techno asks Tubbo some questions about the colony. He assesses that the small settlement is not really much of a concern for the Syndicate, and while he catches a glimpse of Michael, Tubbo and Ranboo's adopted son, he doesn't think much of it. On their way back home, Tubbo flies up to the top of the prison using his trident and breaks a piece of polished black stone, which reveals a sticky piston. He quickly places the block back as Tubbo points out that there is a 2x3 rectangle? Square? Rectangle of obsidian missing from the roof. And he says it wasn't there the day before. So the Syndicate members head back to the headquarters, and that's where their lore ends for now. In the future, I can definitely see a hostile Eggpire takeover met by resistance from the Syndicate and people like Foolish and Puffy. Did I write a page and a half just for this stream? You'll thank me later, okay? Greek history lesson and all. So after the Syndicate lore, Philza has some lore of his own. He misses his son, Wilbur. Now, if you weren't around for it, Wilbur lost a canon life blowing up L'Manberg during a mental break. Philza showed up just as Wilbur was about to press detonate on the TNT, but he wasn't able to stop him. As punishment for ruining everything that the people on the server had worked for, Philza took his last canon life. And even though it's been a long time since then, Philza wonders if he did the right thing, killing his own son. And we also get a little bit of information on how Philza joined the SMP in the first place. He says that Wilbur used to send him letters about how things were going and how much fun he was having with his friends. But one day, the letters mysteriously stopped. And that's why he joined the server, to protect Wilbur. Now, continuing along the line of people talking about character, we have Nikki. I must say, I absolutely eat this stuff up. So Nikki has long felt ignored by the people that she associates herself with, leaving her with little trust for the people around her and a deteriorating mental state. Her underground city and library reflect this state of mind. She believes that the Syndicate is finally an opportunity for her voice to be heard, since the organization is so welcoming. Aunt Frost begins to set up the Red Banquet. It's basically a celebration for the egg that people can attend. He also goes to dance on Tommy's grave before planting vines around Snowchester, as well as a single vine in Ranboo's basement. So now we have more character talk. Puffy did a stream where she talks about the origin of her character. She wakes up on the SMP near a pirate ship that she has no recollection of. Upon entry, she finds journals that she had written while she was shipwrecked there. Now, she still doesn't remember anything about this past life she lived until she puts on her old captain's uniform. A few memories rush back to her. The fear of a storm, the impending sense of doom. She hides the fact that the ship ever belonged to her, saying that she can't fail anyone else, implying that there might have been a crew aboard that ship. And she even considers sailing away from the SMP, feeling unworthy of protecting what she cares about, when she has experienced so much failure. Now, here is something that I am excited for. Foolish has had some lore since he started streaming on the Dream SMP, but I had not seen much from Hannah Rose until now. She logs on, saying that something is making her sick, and that she has returned to the server to find the source of it. She finds her strength in flowers and begins to decorate the server for spring. She says that the server is messed up. There's a lack of nature everywhere, and people always pick her roses. When Hannah sees that her house is covered in blood vines, she realizes that it might be the source of her sickness. This causes her to kill any animals that touch the vines, including her own pets. Sam explains what he knows about the egg to her as he helps remove the vines from her house. Bad and Ant don't believe Sam when he explains the effect the egg is having on Hannah. They take her down to the egg room and force her to touch it. Surprisingly, the egg likes her. Extremely creepy if you ask me. But she decides to give it a chance, saying that her roses might be able to help the egg. But all of a sudden, she gets dizzy and blacks out. I love Hannah. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Carl does a short lore segment during his After the Tale stream. He talks about the side effects of time travel, saying that each trip deteriorates his memory. He worries that one day he won't even be able to remember who his friends are. He also writes about how the in-between might not be all that it claims to be, which confirms what we saw during the Tales of SMP last week. After that, he, Bad, and Sapnap start putting up Kinoko Kingdom propaganda to gain members for the newly formed nation. Last week, I talked about how Ponk gave Foolish 5 days before he vowed to destroy his sand temple in the name of the egg. So on Foolish's stream, he and Sam discover very obviously placed TNT and get rid of it. The Eggpire members show up, but Foolish is not afraid. The egg laughs through his statue, causing it to explode. Now, Foolish is canonically like a demigod type being, making him the oldest on the SMP. He threatens the Eggpire with his powers, scaring them away, but he later tells Sam that he is generally peaceful. And while he's sad about his statue, he does have plans to rebuild it. He says that it would be foolish to not retaliate after the egg had attacked him. His words, not mine, okay? Tubbo and Ranboo watch the whole conversation / minor confrontation with Foolish and the Eggpire members. Tubbo considers nuking the egg, since he still has 2 nukes, but Ranboo says that he shouldn't. They offer to help Foolish fight the Eggpire, leaving out the option of nukes to maintain the secrecy of them. On Hannah's second ever lore stream, she wakes up. Sam tells her that she's been with the egg for a whole day. This has had considerable effects on her. Her skin is bleached and she is no longer able to sprint. As she starts to leave with Sam, the egg speaks to her. It tells her things like, "If you leave me, you will die." The egg is apparently now a psychotic ex-boyfriend. Together, they break a few vines, but Hannah struggles to do so as she is under the influence of the egg. When she returns to her house, she promises Sam that she'll try not to listen to it. We'll see how that goes. And then there's Tommy. Oh, Tommy. What an ominous stream title. He gets rescued from the prison by Sam nearly a month after he had been locked up in the first place with Dream. And he blames Sam for it. Sam tries to express the fact that he's sorry, but that doesn't change anything. Tommy leaves the prison, vowing to sue him as he steps out into the real world again. Now, the first person he sees as he explores the changes to the SMP is Tubbo. The first thing he does upon seeing Tommy is quickly back away. When asked about the details about how exactly he came back to life, Tommy becomes a little unstable. He's still very sensitive to taking damage, and rambles incoherently to Tubbo about how Dream was going to come back because Techno owed him a favor. He genuinely seems like he's lost it a bit. Tubbo is confused by all of it, but informs him that a lot has changed since he was gone. For one, Tubbo is married, and he owns an inn now. A little bit overwhelmed by all this, Tommy asks Tubbo to leave him in peace for a while. Tubbo agrees, but watches the rest of his interactions with people from a distance. Next, Tommy stops by his hotel. Sam Nook is happy to see him, saying that he missed him, and is not nearly as thrilled by his return. Jack's old frustrations towards Tommy come to the forefront, as he talks about how he was mistreated, and that it wasn't fair that Tommy was just back all of a sudden. Tommy, as per usual, puts Jack's feelings into the wayside, and says that there are bigger problems at hand. He even leaves the hotel in Jack's hands as he tries to figure out what to do about Dream. Tommy discovers that Connor has been living in his house and promptly kicks him out. However, he presents himself as being on Tommy's side after hearing about how much he had been through, and after they mutually agreed that the prison needs reform. So, as he walks along the Prime path, he spots Ranboo. And while he's confused about Tommy's return, he doesn't ask a lot of questions about it. And he actually respects the fact that he doesn't want to talk about it. Tommy briefly asks about him and Tubbo. And while he very much puts on a front of, "You stole my best friend," he seems to be unable to hold back a smile and a small "aw" as he walks away. He visits Puffy's soon-to-be therapy office and submits a request with a signed book. That'll be a fun surprise for Puffy, surely. And the last person that he runs into is Quackity. At first, Quackity angrily says that it's not Halloween, and whoever's dressing up as Tommy is doing so in bad taste. But then, Tommy speaks, and Quackity's taken aback. Upon realizing that it really is him, he's very excited. Quackity is one of the few people that knows about the Revive book, so Tommy fills him in on those details. As Tommy stands by the Nether portal with Tubbo watching him closely nearby, he says that he still feels dead. No one has treated him normally, and his death has seemed to have caused more of a celebration than a grievance. However, he latches on to a new goal for himself in spite of it all. Kill Dream before he uses the Revive book and causes irreparable damage. On Jack's stream, it seems that his character has completely thrown all of the lessons that he learned by the wayside. In an angry vengeance, he decides that he wants to kill Tommy again. He reaches out to Nikki for help with this, but she doesn't really seem to care much about Tommy's return. Jack pleads with her, and she says she'll think about it. He thinks that Tommy's plan to kill Dream is selfish and would be bad for everyone else on the server. He also wants to become a prison guard so that when he kills Tommy, Dream won't be able to revive him. Ranboo ponders the events surrounding Tommy and comes to the same conclusion as him. Dream must die. With the power to revive villains in Dream's hands, the server is doomed to fall. He's not sure how much he can do, but he decides to start training in the event that something does happen. He also has incentive to help Tommy as best as he can so that Dream stops having as much control over his mind. I work super duper hard on putting out these videos every week, so I would really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed. It really helps out a lot. It seems like 1,000 subscribers might be coming soon, which is super exciting. And also my TikTok has been doing pretty well recently, so you can follow it there. Like and subscribe right now. It's the law. I'm tired. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to answer anything. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Have a nice day.